Save time with these 9 button use cases. What if a single button could wipe out 10 repetitive clicks and hand you back time every single day? Do you catch yourself running the exact same setup steps every single time? Adding pages, opening pages, setting default properties, when all you want is start working effectively. By the end of this video, this grind is gone. You will build one magic button that chains every action and finishes the job with one tap. I literally spent hours testing buttons, breaking my own dashboards just to see what they are capable of. So you can just copy the use cases minus the headaches. I even have a button that runs over 90 seconds. I don't want to think about how much time I need to spend to finish that job. But enough talking, this is the roadmap, the use cases I prepared for you. In total, I prepared 8 use cases, but make sure to stay till the end of this video, because there I will share what makes buttons superior to the database property buttons, and one thing that will save you a lot of headaches. For the people who don't know me, my name is Leon and I'm excited to guide you through this. Let's get started. First, because in all the use cases I already prepared the buttons, I want to show you how to add a button to the page. You just write / and then you write button and either select it with your mouse or just press enter. Then what you can do is you can name this button. Let's call it first button. And you can select either an icon or an emoji, and for the icons you can even change the color. Let's go, for example, with a blue check. Now let me give you a quick overview of what the buttons are capable of, so every action you can add here before we dive deep into all these use cases. First, there is insert blocks. That's just, for example, you have a toggle, that's a block. When I write something like a text, that's a block. These lines are blocks. So by clicking insert buttons, I can spawn multiple buttons of the same kind or also of a different kind just by the click of a button. Then there is add page to, and that's related to databases. By adding this action, you can add a page, so an entry to a database. Under there is added pages in, and that's also related to databases. By selecting this action, you can edit pages in a database. So for example, change a property. Then send notification to is by clicking the button, you will notify something that, for example, something changed in a page or whatever, but you will send someone a message that will appear in their inbox right here. Show confirmation is just a window that will pop up and ask you if you want to proceed or if you want to do this, and then you can say yes or you can say no. After that, there is to send a Slack notification to someone, similar to send a notification, but there you will notify someone in Slack if you use Slack. And there is define variables, where you can define yourself a variable and work with that from there on. And as you can see, there are 2 features that are only available on a paid plan. So all these actions above here are for everyone available on a free tier, paid tier, so literally for everyone. And these are only to paid users. In this video, I will only focus on the free action because I'm also on another account for this video, my demo account. So we will only focus on these ones. And also because I don't use Slack, I won't use Slack also. But now let's dive straight into use case number 1. The first use case, as the name emphasizes, is all about adding blocks to a page by using the insert blocks action. So by clicking this button, we will create an H3, so a heading, 3 bullet points and a divider. Now let's try to recreate this on the right here. First, click on this setting icon, then write add blocks. Let's select the same icon, click on plus new action, select insert blocks. Then the first thing we need to add is an H3. You can either write / and then select the H3 setting, or you can do it all with your keyboard. As you can see here, there are 3 hashtags. So you can just write hashtag, 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 and then space, and this will also create an H3. Then what we want to write is we want to write meeting notes, and then we want to write add and then today, so the day when duplicated. So it will show the date when we duplicate this. And then we also need to add 3 bullet points and then just click enter. This will create a new block, and then we can transform this, turn into a bullet list. There we have our first bullet point, and then we can just duplicate it once and twice, and then we have meeting notes. As you can see here, we have today, so the date when duplicated, and we have 3 bullet points. The last thing we need to add, and there we can, and then because when I now click enter, the bullet point will disappear, we can just recreate it also with keyboard shortcuts by pressing minus and then space. What I like to do there is I like to duplicate the block, then press enter, and then write slash and then select the divider. Or you can also do this with keyboard shortcuts. You can just write minus 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 and it will create a divider. Then we can select done because we created this button, and when we now click this, we should have the same outcome as here. And that's the case. We have an H3 with today, an H3 with today, 3 bullet points, and a divider. And that's it for use case number 1. Let's move on to use case number 2. Now, use case number 2 is a bit more complex, and this is what we want to build. First, we want to add a new page to a database. Then we want to open this page, and then we want to notify a person. So let's try to recreate this. First, let's rename the button. Let's call it new video, and let's also select the same icon, this television play, and select our first action. Select add page to and select the content build database. And if you now have templates, so database templates in your database, you can also select add page as, and then you can select a template. Now what we want to do is we want to pre-select people for the ideation. Let's select me. You can either say whoever clicked, you can select the page creator, you can select a person. In this workspace, it's just me, so I can select me. And you have the option to create a custom formula, but that's something I want to create you later in this use case. Let's go with me. And also for the supervisor, let's go with me. And that's the first action. Now click on add action and select open page, form or URL. Select the page added. So here we added a page and Notion can reference this. So we want to grab the page we added here, and we can do this by saying page added. And then I want to select the right peak with side peak. It will open as a side peak. In center peak, we will create a window that will be centered, and in full page, we will open the page as a full page. I like side peak the most because when I don't need it anymore, I can just click and it will go away. Then we need to create another action. Click on plus add action again and select send notification to. Here you can also select up to 20 people. You can say notify the person who clicked. Then if I click this button, I will get a notification. You can say the page creator, for example, if I would be with another person in this workspace, this person has created this page. When I click this button, this person will get a notification. I can also select me or another person manually, or even here I can also select a formula. And that's what I want to do now. I want to click custom formula, and then I want to write concat. So we will grab the page that we added in the first step and write dot ideation. So now we will access the ideation person we selected for the first page we added in step 1 to the database. And we also want to do this for the supervisor. So we also write page added dot and then we also want to select the supervisor. And now we have this formula. So we now have two people. In this use case, it's me and me because I'm the supervisor and the ideation person, but it could also be two different people. Then click on save. And now we can also write a message, either plain text or with a mention or a formula. I will go over these two in a second. Now let's just write, hey, the new video got created. You can either write this, and if I would now click on done and press this button, the ideation person and the supervisor would get this message. Now what we can also do is, because this is the content database, normally you have, for example, SOPs that you use and you have a page for this. We can mention this page with this @ symbol. So I can click add, and in this case, because I don't have an SOP page on this account, I will just select the video 1 page, but here you can write SOP or whatever you want. And now if I would click done and trigger this button, the ideation person and the supervisor would get the message, hey, the new video got created. For help, use this page. And now we can even go one step ahead and create a formula. So we can click this and the text will get created in this formula window. And what we can write is the person in charge to help you is, and then we can again select the page we added here. And we selected a supervisor, and there we can select the supervisor. So now we went from, hey, the new video got created, to, hey, the new video got created. For help, use this page, and the person in charge to help you is, and we selected the supervisor in a very smart way. And it's smart because I could manually select the supervisor that is normally in charge of a project. But if you have, for example, different people for different videos, you need to create it manually. And by doing this, you will always select the supervisor that you selected over here. And that's it for use case number 2. Now let's compare these two if they are the same. So we have page edit, ideation, and supervisor. Page edit in SitePeek, and send a notification, and this looks exactly the same. Now let's move on to use case number 3. Now the third use case is all about opening one page as a full page and another page as a SitePeek, so we can drag stuff over. What that means, I will show you in a second. First, let me show you the button. So we have a button, and now we have two different pages. The button will open the first one as a full page and the second one as a SitePeek. Now let me show you what this will look like. So if I click this button, you will see I have a calendar view over here and a list view over here, and I have two tasks that are not scheduled. So what I can do is I can say, for example, let's schedule this to the second, and let's also schedule this to the second. And now I don't have any tasks that are not scheduled, and everything is scheduled. Now I can close this and go back. Also later in the video, so just stick with me. In the 8th use case, I will show you something that will make this process much faster, so I don't need to quit 2 pages. But now let's try to recreate this. First, let's call it scheduling, select the right icon and click on plus new action. Then select open page, form or URL, select the tasks build database and select calendar view for tasks build and select full page. Then click on plus add action again, click on open page, form or URL again. Select SitePeek view for tasks built and select SitePeek. And then you can select done. And now let's see if the button works the same way as this button works. Click on scheduling. Now we can see we have these 2 pages and we can schedule the tasks again and close this off. And that's it for use case number 3. Let's move on to use case number 4. Use case number 4 is only showing specific entries by clicking a button. So in this view, we only want to see tasks that are marked as priority when we click this button. And in this example, we have 2 buttons, so we can activate this. So we will only see brainstorm titles and come up with ideas. And if we click on only priority, but with this arrow, we can reset it. So what this will look like is if I click this, we will only see these 2, as I said. And if I reset it, we will see all 3 again, because what this button is doing is it will edit pages that match a specific filter. I will show you in a second, and it will set a helper property to true. And what this button is doing is it will access the exact same pages and will set this helper property to false. More to that later. Now let's try to recreate this on the right side, and from now on I will have the name and the icon pre-selected because we did this in example 1, 2, and 3, and I think from now on you are capable of doing this. Now let's do button number 1. Click on plus new action, select edit pages in, select the tasks build database and click on all pages. Here I want to change this to priority is unchecked and the due date is this day. So this is just a very complex way of saying this date is today. Now what we want to do is we want to access this priority view helper property, more to that later, and set it to checked. Now we can also do this with a formula. We can write true because checked is true and unchecked is false. It's the same. Then we can click on done and we are finished with the first button. And then let's go for the second one. Click on plus new action, edit pages in, select the tasks build database once again, click on all pages, select priority is unchecked and the due date is today, and let's select the priority view helper and select it to unchecked. I will not set it to false because I will show you that it will just work fine. And then click on done. And now if I click this button, we will only see 2 entries. And if I reset this, we will see 3 again. And this works this way because we have a view of our tasks database and we have a filter. So we only want to see pages where the due date is today. That's why we only see tasks that are due, so not due, due on July 1st, and tasks where this helper property is unchecked. So all the helper properties are unchecked. And what we do with this button is we access the pages where the priority is not checked and the due date is today. And we set the priority view helper property to true. What this is doing is we check this here and now it doesn't match the filter and it will disappear. We don't delete this entry, we will just filter it out because it doesn't match our filter. And that's it for use case number 4. Let's move on to use case number 5. Use case number 5 is all about adding multiple database entries to a database. What this will look like is, if we take a look at this button, is we add a page to content and then we will do the exact same in action number 2, 3, and 4. So we want to add 4 exactly the same pages by clicking this button. And now let's try to recreate this on the right side. Click on plus new action, select add page 2, select the content build database, set the ideation person to you, or in my case me, as well as the supervisor. to me, or in your use case, you or whoever. And then what we can just do is we can click these three dots and we can say duplicate, 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 and now we have 4 actions that are all the same. What we can also do is, because now we need to scroll, for this use case it's not that important, but let's say we have as an action we have to add a page, then we have another action that is not to add a page, then we have another action that is different, and here also a different action. If we don't want to scroll, we can collapse them, and then we can only see what the action is and nothing with the properties. So we don't have to scroll here. What you can also do by clicking the 3 dots is you can move it down. So for example, let's expand the first one and the second one, and let me write test 1 in here and test 2 in here, so you can see what happens, because if they are exactly the same, you won't see it. What I can do is I can say move 1 up, and if I click this, they will change the position. I can also move it down, so test 2 will go under test 1, but I can only go 1 position with 1 click. So if I want to move 1 under 3, I need to move 1 2 times. But there is also a faster way to do this. You can see these 6 dots and you can see drag to move, and I can drag this, for example, all the way down, all the way up. It's way faster. Now let me delete this here because we don't need it. It was just for showing you something. Let's also expand this and this. And what you also don't need to do is you don't need to add an action over here and then select the 6 dots and drag it, for example, over here. What you can just do is you can add an action above here. So if you click this, a new action will appear over this action. So there is no need to create this down here and drag it wherever you need it. Just click on the action that is the center and add an action above or below this. And as I previously showed you, by clicking the 3 dots, we also have the option to duplicate an action. If, for example, I have selected properties here, I don't need to fill them out manually again. I can just click on duplicate, or if I don't need an action or I accidentally duplicated one too much, I can delete it over here. Then let's click on done and we are finished. And let me show you, if I go into the content database, currently we have only video 1. If I click on monthly batch video, you will see now we have 4 new entries. And if I do the same for monthly video batch that we just created, you will see we have also 4 new entries over here. And that's it for use case number 5. Let's move on to use case number 6. Use case number 6 is all about bulk editing in a database by clicking a button. What you can see on top, I won't cover this because in this video I want to focus on buttons that you can place on a page. We have a database button property here for start and for stop. And what they are doing is basically access the page they're in. For example, this button will access this page, this button will access this page, and so on. And what this is doing is it will set the status to in progress. Currently it's not started, and it will set the start time to the time we pressed this button. I can showcase you this. Now we have a start date and a time, so the start time. And what the stop button will do is it will change the status to done and the end time to the time we triggered this button. And we also will get a total minutes worked. So we will divide these two and get a number of minutes we worked on that task. Now let me show you this. If I click on stop, it will disappear because I have set that the status is not done. So if I click this, it will disappear, but we can go into the tasks database, and here you can see dust the furniture is set to done. Start time is 11:54 a.m. and the end time is 11:55 a.m. So we worked 1 minute on it. Now let me clear this, and set the status to not started. So we have the same view as in the beginning. And let me go over this button and running tasks. What this button is doing is it will access pages that match a filter. I will show you in a second. And it will set the end time to the time we triggered this button, and will set the status to done. Now let me start this task and this task. And as I showed you before, if I click this stop button, the task will be set to in progress, and end time will be set, and the task will disappear. If I now press this button, it will set to done at once. You can see this. I will press this button now, and they will both disappear. And as you can see, both are set to done, and we have a total number of minutes worked. Of course, because it was too close, we have 0 minutes, but I hope you get the point. Now let's recreate this on the right side. Click on plus new action, select edit pages in, select the task build database, click on all pages, select the due date is relative to today, this day, so it's today, and the status is, and there select this in progress, because we only have one option. You could also select this, and this will be selected automatically. And we have the pages that match these two filter criteria. Now let's select the end time when we click this button to the time triggered, not the date. If we select the date triggered, we will only get July 1st and not the time. So let's select the time triggered for the end time, and let's set the status to done. And we are ready. The button is usable. And what we can do now is, if we haven't had this button here, we could do it with start and stop. But now we could also, for example, hide or even delete this property because it's not needed. Or if you, for example, have one running and this one running, you could, for example, only set this to stop if you want. And now let's also check if this is working. I set this to in progress, and if I now click on done, they should both disappear. And it worked successfully. So now let's move on to use case number 7. Use case number 7 is all about adding a button that brings you back to the home page if you are lost, or if you don't, as I said before, want to close 2 pages at once. So what we do is, our homepage in this example is video 1 demo. And what this is doing is it opens video 1 demo as a full page. Now let me copy this to the use case I showed you before, to the scheduling use case. Let me click on scheduling. And before, what I had to do is I need to close this and click on this, or just click on this. What I could do is I could put this home button right here. And if I press it, we are back at the home page, and it's much faster. So now let's try to recreate it. Click on plus new action. Select open page from or URL. Select the page you want to be your homepage, in my use case, video 1 demo. And then, as you can see, they are both the same. And now let me get over the thing that will save you a lot of headaches, because there is one thing I haven't showed you in all the use cases, and that's the confirmation action. Because the confirmation action is like a safety net. If you accidentally pressed a button, the action won't be triggered. You can add as many as you want, but in my opinion, 1 or even 2 are enough. It's just for you to confirm that you really want to trigger this button. And I will only add this to buttons that trigger actions that take a lot of time to reverse. For example, this homepage button, I won't add a confirmation here. If I have, as I told you, I have a button that runs for 90 seconds. For this button, I have a confirmation action, so I can't accidentally click it. Also important, the show confirmation action needs to be the first action. If I have it under here, the action opening video 1 demo page will be triggered, and after that I will get asked if I want to perform this action, and that doesn't make sense. So always put the show confirmation button at the top. And what we can do here is we can write a text. We can write, are you sure you want to continue, or something custom. Here, like in notify someone, you can add a mentioning a page, person, or a date, as well as a formula. You can say, I will go with continue or cancel, or you can write something custom. What this will look like is if I go press the home button, I will get asked, are you sure you want to continue? Then I can write continue, and I will open this page as a full page, or I can say, no, this was a mistake, I cancel, and nothing happens. And now I will go over why these buttons are superior to the database property buttons. Maybe some of you figured this out, but as I showed you, I have 3 entries here. And if I manually started all of them, if I want to stop them with database entries, I need to click stop for the first one, stop for the second one, and stop for the third one, because the database entry button only works for an entry. And this button, so the button we can place on a page, can bulk edit multiple pages. If I have, for example, 100 tasks over here, I can say I want to set them to done with just a click of a button. Otherwise, I need to click stop 100 times, which takes much more time. And this is why these buttons are superior. And if you now want to get a basic project, task, and notes template, where you can also implement buttons to develop your skills and get an even better template by doing this, because they are not included natively in this template, watch this video over here. Stay connected.